everyone, and welcome once again to the Heir's Lair. I'm your host, Offer Jonathan Taylor. After a week of doing something completely different, I've decided that this week we'll see my return to Ethan Solera's Twitter account. Ethan Solera posts questions on the daily for various writers, and every month these questions have a particular theme. The theme for this month is MCs, or main characters. I already did a version of this video. I already did the first part, not a version, the first part of this video 2 weeks ago, where I answered some of the questions that Ethan Solera has posted this week on their Twitter. I actually answered all the questions that were posted up until I started reading them. Today I pick up from that point and start reading further. Also, I'll put their Twitter in the description if you're in any way curious about it. Anyway, and just like last week, I'm gonna have 15 minutes on the clock. Okay, not last week, last time. Just like last time, 15 minutes on the clock. If let's see if I manage to finish it in less than 15 minutes, just like last time. So let's go. The question from January 15th. I probably should mute all the other apps on the phone, but whatever, we'll get to that soon enough. I'll mute them if I have to. The question of January 15th. Does your MC like to take risks, or do they always take the safest available option? And I should have probably mentioned this earlier. The MC I'm going with is Mario Saligeri, who was a secondary character in the book that is already out, but in the work in progress. Okay, you're getting muted. Good. But in the work in progress, Marius has been bumped up to main character status. So the question, does your MC like to take risks, or do they always take the safest available option? Marius is not risk adverse at all, but he isn't necessarily a high risk, high rewards kind of guy. He's more like a medium risk, and he's more like an acceptable risk and usable reward kind of guy. He views the problem more pragmatically than just go for broke. He doesn't always go the safest route, but he does go the route that he thinks will yield the best dividends moving forward, whatever the best dividends looks like. Does your MC like animals? Do they have a pet? Or if not, do they dislike all animals or just certain ones? Well, Marius doesn't have pets, but that's more because he doesn't really have any way of taking care of one. He is a military personnel and does receive a decent enough salary out of that. But his living conditions don't exactly allow him to tie himself down to a pet, or constantly bring a pet around with him. So yeah, for that reason, while he's not averse to animals in any way, he doesn't have one. Question the next, because they're not numbered in any way. Does your MC swear, or do they prefer to use alternate, non-explicit, less harsh sayings in place of swearing? Mars has no problem with swearing, but he recognizes that there is a time and a place where swearing is actually effective, or will actually do what it is supposed to do. So for that reason, while he has no problem swearing, he doesn't do it often, really. Besides, as the question itself also said, there are many other ways of being harsh, and some of them actually get through to people. That might be a little bit more important to him. How does your MC feel about their birthday or getting older? Is it something they enjoy, or do they dread it each year? I think I said it before, but Marius is very it's kind of very athletic and has a particular flair when it comes to his combat. So he is very happy when he notices that he can still keep all of his flair as he grows older. But in the long run, he realizes that he might not be able to keep that. He dreads it not in and of itself. He dreads what getting older might take away from him. But so yeah, that's why he tries to go for that's why he also tries to think about what the solution would yield the best for him, long term as well. He tries to figure out what would how and what would benefit him in the long run. If that makes sense. Okay. Next question. How does your MC handle being sick? Do they power through it, even to the point of that being dangerous, or are they unable to do much of anything until they get better? Marius is very pragmatic when it comes to his own body and how to handle whatever happens to it. So if he does get sick, he first tries to assess how sick he actually is, and therefore determine how active he can still be. But once he finds that edge, though, that limit, he won't really try to power through it. He recognizes he doesn't live alone. There are people who can support him, and there are still ways he can support them should the need arise. So yeah, that's my answer there. He's mostly mature about it. Next question, how does your MC treat those around him? Are they grateful for the company or help, or do they get easily annoyed by others trying to be a part of whatever they're doing? He wouldn't be an instructor if he would be easily annoyed. Let's say it like that. He does very much want the people around him to be capable of working at their highest level. And in order to do that, he is somewhat flexible in terms of if this is what you need, this is what you will have. But he will still demand that you give your best. And if he sees that you're not getting your best, he will first of all chide you and then kick you out if you don't improve. So yeah, that's my answer. Next question, is your MC good with children, or do they feel awkward around them? Do they have any of their own? Marius doesn't have any of his own, and I haven't really figured out if the reason for that is work, choice, or biological inability. It might be all of them, I don't know. I haven't figured that out yet. Whether or not he is good with children, well, for the most part the answer is I'll say yes. He knows how to have fun with them. He knows what they find they find entertaining, so to speak, or can figure it out and has no trouble participating in that. But he does also know that he needs to keep himself somewhat detached and will try to take more of a let's say team dad kind of role. When dealing with children, when dealing with other adults, he is quite happy being the mascot. If the situation calls for it. Moving on, how does your MC handle stress? Are they able to stay calm, or at least collected enough to function, or do they lose themselves in the panic? We're talking about a guy who was raised in a super soldier program. This guy would not lose himself in a panic. So yeah, there's my question. There's your answer. He mostly stays cool, or at least he tries to stay collected. Still tries to remain functioning. He might lose his temper, but he will still be focused on on solving the problem and in trying to push away the barriers that get brought in front of him. Next question. Is your MC an optimist or a pessimist? How does their outlook help or hinder their goals in the story? He is very much an optimist. Like, he'll see a situation is not particularly to his advantage, and figure out, well, okay, what is one thing that can hinder my opponent? Can I take advantage of it? And from that point forward, he will turn the situation around. It'll take a while, but he'll be able to do it. So yeah, very much an optimist, very much a go-getter. Next up, what is your MC's greatest fear? Do they have to face it during the story? I think his greatest fear is not being able to do what he sets out for himself. So getting outmaneuvered, so to speak. And yes, that is something that he faces both in his appearance as a secondary character and in his appearance as a main character. He has to come up with ways of dealing with various enemies in complex battle scenarios. But he does face his fears quite often. Whether or not and to what extent he also overcomes them is something I'll leave up to you to discover. Is your MC athletic or more sedentary? Does their physical fitness affect them during the story or change in the story? As I've said before, Marius fights with a particular aesthetic flair, so to speak. So he does take great pride, great care, and a very pragmatic approach towards his own body. So to him, it is important that he keep himself active, and that he keep himself capable of performing the feats that his job required him to perform. So yeah, there's your answer. Next up, how self-sufficient is your MC? Are they able to figure out most of their problems on their own? Do they often need help? Do they only need help with specific types of problems? They will need help with specific types of problems, but after that, assuming they still have all the materials with them, Marius, I should talk about him. Marius will need help with specific problems, but after that, assuming he has the materials necessary to solve the problems with him, he will more often than not be able to solve it on his own from that point forward. And even outside of that, he very much is self-sufficient. I actually made a video about his backstory. Okay, his backstory is one of several characters, but he is there, and you will see just what self-sufficiency means to him, and how he was able to overcome some pretty weird and pretty interesting situations that really no other character was ever required to do or has been confronted with. So he can handle almost anything, so to speak. Next up, how good is your MC about taking care of themselves? Do they ignore their own needs to tend to other things, other people, or do they take time when they need to? This is, I think, the third time I've said it in this video. Marius is very pragmatic about his own body and his own needs. So he will address himself whenever he finds out that he has to. He will also try to, control his fitness so that it is to the extent where he won't need to do it often. But when he does need it, then he will resort to taking care of himself, because what else is he gonna do? And if I'm not mistaken, there's another one. Good. How much effort does your MC put into their appearance? Do they not care at all? Do they spend hours, or are they somewhere in between? Mars usually just puts on his uniform and then that's it. He does, or okay, he tries to keep himself relatively groomed and shaved, but otherwise he doesn't go to any supplemental effort. He, he knows where he knows where his emphasis lies, where his strengths lie, and really his looks only complement that. He only needs to make himself not look ugly. That is that is the most he thinks about when he thinks about his appearance. And it looks like that was the last question. Well, would you look at that? Just like last week, I managed to finish before the timer ran out. Anyway, that was the video this week. I hope you enjoyed it. Special thanks to even Solera for making these questions available. And apologies again for not asking permission. But I hope they enjoyed it regardless. If you also enjoyed it, then please leave a like and maybe share this video wherever you think others will like it as well. If you have anything you'd like to add to what I said in this video, the comment section awaits your input. And if you want to see when the next video gets released, well then please subscribe. Ideally also ring the bell or do whatever else YouTube will ask of you in order to keep you notified. I have my own book that has been released last September. It's called Heir to the Empire: The Next Generation. A link to which you will find in the description down below. And yeah, that was about all I had to say. Until next time, I am Jonathan Taylor, and this has been the Heir's Lair.